Okay, we're starting Be'ezer Hashem Vayoel Moshe Maamar Shalosh Shevuos Perik or Siman Chaf Beis. And the subject is, again, he was talking about that he brought a proof from the last Siman from the Ravid, the Mashiach Edius, that before the Gulah ends, first the Gulah will end, Yidden will be gathered from all over the world, and they'll be gathered not to Eretz Yisrael, they'll be gathered to a different place first, called the Midbar Ha'amim, and from that place Hashem will do a sorting of the Yidden, he'll sort out the good from the bad, and only the ones who do complete tshuva will go back to Eretz Yisrael. So that proves the point that he's trying to make in all these simanim, that even after the Gula we won't go to Eretz Yisrael. Kal v'chomer, that before the Gula there won't be a gathering of the Jews to Eretz Yisrael. Okay, now he's going to address a question that Zionists ask, and the first one who asked this question, as far as I know, is the Eim Abanim Smecha. And we'll take a look over here. I have it copied on page 6. But before you look at page 6, look at page 5, because there I have the Gemara that's the source for this whole thing. It says, close to the bottom of Megillah Daf Yud Zayin on the base.
Yes.
The Gemara goes through all the brachas of Shmon Esrei. It starts over here, Tana Rabbanim Minayin Shoymrim Avos. How do you know that we say Avos? And then it goes through every single bracha of the 19 brachas.
Which daf is this on the Megillah?
Yud Zayin on the base. Okay. So everyone, it explains what the order of the brachas is and why the Chazal put it in that order. So it says, Uma ra'u loymar kibbutz galius li'achar birkas hashanim. Why is the bracha of Tekabah Shofar Gadol L'Cheristeinu Mekabah Tznichayim Mo Yisrael? Why does that come after the bracha of birkas hashanim, which is about the earth giving its fruit and people having parnasa? So the Gemara answers the Chsiv. The pasuk says, "V'atem harei Yisrael, you mountains of Israel, an pechem titenu, give your branches, uprichem tisu, perichem tisu, bear your fruit, le'ami Yisrael, for my people Israel, ki kervu lavoy, because they are close to coming. They're going to come back soon." So the Gemara says in another place, it doesn't say it necessarily here, but it says it in Sanhedrin, that when the fruits grow in Eretz Yisrael, that's a siman of Gula. The Zionists bring a proof from that to their shita. But here you see what the Gemara is doing here, is it's saying that after the fruits are given, then the Jews will be gathered in.
Because the bracha of Barech Aleinu is said before Kibbutz Galius.
Right.
And more, even the bracha before Fein Geula is even said before Barech Aleinu.
Well, that Goel Yisrael is not talking about Gula.
Oh, it's talking about?
That's talking about temporary, like saving us from danger.
But but the Baruch Aleinu still goes before.
So that was going to be what I was going to say. That in other words, the Zionists want to prove that when Jews go back to Eretz Yisrael and start planting it, that's a siman for Gula. Well, it sounds like it's not saying that. It sounds like it's saying that first Eretz Yisrael will give plants and give fruit, and then we'll be kibbutz galius.
Because clearly, the answer Baruch Aleinu comes before.
Okay, let's just continue the rest of the Gemara. V'kivan shenis kavtzu galius. Once the exiles are gathered in, na'aseh din b'rishaim. Then Hashem comes to punish the Rishaim. Shenemar v'yashiva yadi alayich v'etzreif kabor sigayich. V'chsiv v'ashiva shevtayich kavor yishayna. I'll bring back your shoftim, and then v'kivan shenaseh din min harishaim kalu apoishim. After the Rishaim get punished, the Poishim, meaning the Jews, the Rishaim, I guess, was the Goyim, they got punished. Now we're saying the Jews are going to get punished. The Apikorsim, the Koifrim.
Well, like Pesha is like a sin that's done out of temptation, and
Pesha is Merida.
Merida, right? Because Chatat means Pashat. You're right. Avisi is less than Pashat. You're right.
Pashat is the worst. So Kol Poishim, the Poishim are the ones that we mentioned in Birkas Aminim. In the Lamashinim, the Koil Zaydim Imohem. We include the Zaydim, the deliberate sinners with them. Shenemar v'shavar poishim v'chatoim yachtov. Okay, v'kivan shekolu apoishim. Once the sinners dissipate, so misroi memes keren tzadikim. The tzadikim have more pride. Dichsiv v'chol karnei rishoim agadeya. I'll cut down the pride of the wicked, and then teroimamna karnoi tzadik. The tzadik's pride goes up. V'koil gerei tzedek im tzadikim. that bracha mentions Ger Tzedek, Shenemar Mibnei Seva Takum V'Odarta B'nei Zaken V'Samech Le V'Chiyager Itchem Ger. The Ger goes together with the Tzaddik. And then V'Hechon Mistroy Memes Karnom, where is the pride uplifted? Yerushalayim. Shenemar Shalosh Shloim Yerushalayim. Yishlayu Oyavayich. That seek the peace of Yerushalayim, and those who love Yerushalayim will have peace. V'Kivach Nidnes Yerushalayim Ba David. Once Yerushalayim is built, then Mashiach ben David comes.
Well, just to say, the Rishayim were not punished. On the contrary, they were promoted as tzaddikim. They were promoted, the older wicked just right through Israel.
Right, so this hasn't happened yet, even according to them.
And there were no shoftei tzedek at all. Although they're trying to make them, they're doing it according to their views, not according to any legitimate Torah views.
Right.
Although they're trying to make them into tzaddikim.
Okay, so they agree that this didn't happen yet. They're not claiming that it happened. They're just saying, what they're going to say is basically the last thing in Shemona Esrei is Mashiach.
Yeah.
Right? Estemach David Avdecha. That's the last thing.
Yes.
All these things, Yerushalayim, Binyan Yerushalayim is going to happen before Mashiach. Kibbutz Gulah is going to happen before Mashiach. Oh,
yeah, it's the opposite of what the Rambam said, who said the last step. Opposite of what the Rambam says, who said the last step.
First Mashiach will come and then he'll do all these jobs. Right? So this is a kasha on us, and it's a ride to them. Now take a look in Ein Labanim Smecha, which is Rabbi Sacher Shlomo Teichtal.
But I don't think he was pro. I think he just was pro moving there. I don't think he was pro making a state.
Of course, a few pages later in the same Sefer, he says that you can't have wars, you can't.
He was just
fight.
pro moving peacefully, just like Chabad Chiel was interested. Just move in peacefully, live in Israel, and don't try to seek advantage from Goyim. Exactly.
Okay, but you see still that he is trying to argue that bringing in the Goliath could happen before Mashiach. So take a look what he says. He brings the whole Gemara here. I'm not going to read this part because he's just quoting the Gemara in Megillah. And then he says, V'Amar b'chol hachalukos v'kivan. The Gemara says after each thing, v'kivan. Once this happens, this happens. Lo haidia sheyesh eis uzman mugbal l'chol chayfetz. Everything has a time and a schedule. Ubias v'shichenu hu ayid ho'achroin. The coming of Mashiach is the last thing on the list. Ve'amufla, the most wondrous, shebekulam, koyim tchias emesim. Kanal Shabeis Hamikdash Asi Libanis Koydem Malchus Beis David. This fits with what he said earlier, and we're going to see later in Vayoel Moshe about this, that the Binyan Beis Hamikdash could happen before Mashiach comes. So this is in Rishalmi and Meister Sheni.
Because the Rambam says all the steps of Mashiach, the second to last Beis Hamikdash, and the last Kibbutz Goliath, the Rambam lists the steps of Mashiach.
Yeah, Mashiach's going to build the Beis Hamikdash, so there's a big problem, and we're going to see about it later. I don't want to go into it now. But he says, "K'mavur b'Yishalmi mistach Meister Sheni." Nikra Malchus Beis David Shemesh. That's why the mashal is that coming of Mashiach is like the sun rising. When the actual sun comes up, that's the strongest thing. That's the sunrise. But before the sunrise, there's a little bit of light, right? And it gets stronger and stronger. And it says, "V'kistoi kashemesh negdi." The Mashiach's throne will be like the sun. Ki ha'geula hi kamoy ha'shachar ola. The geula, the first stages of the redemption, are like the dawn, the hours before the sunrise. The choma shehi oleches hi rabba v'oleches. It gets stronger and stronger. U'malchus beis David yeh meuchar eleha. K'tzeis Hashemesh b'gvurasai. Malchus beis David will be the last thing, like when the sun comes out. And then he says v'ho'omer, and whoever says not like this. Whoever says like the Satmar Rebbe and like the Munchatcher, he was a Talmud of the Minchas Elazar. And by the way, he's writing this in 1943 during the war. He originally was an anti-Zionist and he became pro-Zionist during the war. So he says, V'ho'omer, and whoever says Shereishis HaGeula Tiyeh Al Yidei Mashiach ben David, that the first step of Geula is Mashiach ben David, K'moy Shemekavim Dalas Amoretz. That was what the simple Jews think. It's like saying before it gets light in the morning, the first thing that will happen is the sun will come up. So he says that's narish, that's a silly thing to say. And then he goes on, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he says that basically this leads to kfir, because people think if here the Holocaust was going on, people are suffering, and Mashiach's not coming to redeem us, nothing's happening. But if they would believe what the Eimabani Smecha says, and they would believe that stages of the redemption could happen without Mashiach, they would open their eyes, they would see that the going back to Eretz Yisrael is the first stage. Hashem is saving the Yidden.
Well, it does prove the Rambam says, because the Rambam believes Mashiach's coming as in stages, so it proves very much what the Rambam says.
What do you mean the Rambam? But the Rambam says Mashiach will do each stage.
Of course. So Mashiach, when there is this big tzaddik amongst us, we don't even lose Mashiach right away. but we'll just see he's making cars who do tshuva, making them follow the Torah.
Right.
He'll get all false ideologists. Then, we don't even know for sure Mashiach, but we'll simply have the chazak he's Mashiach. But once he does this other stuff, it also happens gradually. Then later on, we'll know Mashiach for sure. So it very much affirms what the Rambam says, because the world has to get ready for Mashiach. So Mashiach will therefore make his coming be in stages.
Right. Okay. So that's how we learn.
To the point we won't even know that big tzaddik who's making all Israel do the tshuva, he's Mashiach.
We won't know yet, right? So that's really the answer. What you're saying is right. That's the answer to what he's saying. He's claiming that this thing about the sun coming up slowly is a raya that Mashiach is the last thing, and everything else happens before Mashiach. Well, the answer is Mashiach is here before too, but he's doing the other stages until he's completely revealed and known as Mashiach. That right, but until that, it's like a stages. It's like a redemption in stages. Yes. That's really the answer to the aim of Smecha. So let's take a look at what the Satmar Rebbe answers here, and then we'll look in Siman Nun Zayin. That's going to be.
Oh, my mistake.
That's not for now.
My mistake.
Okay, so Chaf Beis Ubazeh Hevanti. According to what I said from the Ravid, that there will be a kibbutz galius into a midbar first. I understand the Seder HaBracha Shebebirkas Shmon Esrei. I understand the answer to the kasha basically that he asks, that Rabbi Sachar Shlomo asks about the Seder HaBrachas. Kemavur Masef the Megillah Daf Yizayin on the base Sha'achar Birkas Hashiva Sheyashuvu Shoiftim. After the coming back of the Shoiftim, Kavori Shaina, Amrim La Malshinim. Then the Malshinim get torn down. Shalidei Shoiftim Kolo Azedim. V'Yachar Kach Misroivim Keren Tzadikim. Then the pride of the righteous is uplifted, and then the Shuv Nivneis Yerushalayim, and then Yerushalayim is built, and then he doesn't say it, but by the end Mashiach will come. So Nimtza Binyan Yerushalayim Yeh Achar Kach. Binyan Yerushalayim will be the last thing before Mashiach. V'yesh l'daik. The kasha is haloi maschilin b'birkas tekabah shofar gadol. Right, the tekabah shofar is the bracha about kibbutz galius. Shu kibbutz galius. V'im lo yiyah adayin nivnei Yerushalayim. If there won't be Yerushalayim built up, lehechon yiskabtzu. To where will all the Jews come back? Yeah. Ulefidi v'aravid shah kibbutz harishon yiyah lemidbar. According to the Ravid, that they'll go to a midbar first. Nicha. Then we understand where they'll go back to. They won't go back to Yerushalayim. They'll go to the midbar first. That's what the bracha of kibbutz Nitzchem Yisrael is referring to. Okay. Now he's going to make some diukim in the bracha to show that. We say b'tfilaseinu v'son nes l'kabetz guliyuseinu. It doesn't say to Eretz Yisrael. It just says to gather them. Gam siyum bracha. The end of the bracha hu b'stama. It just says stam mekabetz Nitzchem Yisrael. Doesn't say to where.
Yeah, Liturgy was anything Kabbalistically, I believe.
Oh, so take a look at what he says now. This is what Nusach Arizal, Nusach Sfard says.
Yeah, because I read, the Sfardim say it too, because Nusach Sfard, Tios Hashem, and Sfards are more Kabbalistic than Nusach Ashkenaz.
Right, and even the people who adopted Nusach Sfard, like Chassidim, they say L'Artseinu because that's Nusach Arizal. But okay, wait a second, you're going to see what he says. He's going to say it's not Nusach Arizal. He says, Zorach Loimar. According to that girsa, you have to answer Hakavana, that it means Shetachlis HaKibbutz Hu La Boyachar Kach L'Artseinu. That certainly the end hope is to come to Eretz Yisrael. That's the end result. That's the final stage in our redemption. But before that, there's going to be something else. Aval HaKibbutz Harishon, the first gathering, Lo Yiyeh L'Eretz Yisrael. Won't come to Eretz Yisrael. El Midbar Ho'amim. Okay? Like the Ravid says. V'yesh nuschais b'kama sidurim she'ein loimer klal tevis l'artzeinu.
Ashkenaz.
Right. Many nuschais hold that you don't say it. B'chol ha'bracha shel tekabah shofar. U'v'likutei ma'ariach she'asaf v'liket kol ha'nuschais. He gathers all the different versions of davening. Kosev shebesidurei Ashkenaz less the tevis l'artzeinu. He says that that's not the girsa in the Siddur Ashkenaz. I don't know why the Rebbe had to bring him. He couldn't just open the Siddur Ashkenaz and see it. Maybe he didn't trust our Siddurim today. And he says, V'chein nira midivrei atur v'ha'arizal. The Tur, in the end of Siman, I think it's Kuf Yud Ches in Orchaim, the Tur says... What?
On Tefillah?
On Hilchos Tefillah, right?
Yeah.
So the Torah says that there are 20 words in the bracha. Shekasvu sheyesh b'bracha zu chaf tevis. Yeah. He says it's connected the tevis in the pasuk v'yashiva shaftayich v'rishayna.
So the Torah gives an amount how much words are in each bracha Shemon Esrei?
I don't know if he goes through all of them. I didn't see that. But this one he does. And he says that they're 20 words.
Liturgy is a 21 if you add that one.
Exactly. So that's why, and the Arizal, that's the Chiddush, that since the whole thing is Nusach Arizal, and the Arizal himself said only 20 words.
So that he added as a Kabbalistic thing as a tachlis, but it wasn't in any way part of the tefillah originally.
So the Arizal added it after he said that it wasn't supposed to be there?
I don't know. Well, there are tefillah that are said Kabbalistically.
Right, but I mean, if the Arizal is saying that this is the correct way to say Shemona Esrei, you wouldn't think that people would daven Arizal and say something different.
I don't know, because Shur does its Kabbalistic, adjustments by saying say this way Al Pi Kabbalah rather than the original way. I guess
maybe the Arizal meant the original way was Chaf Tevis.
The Chedus said as an additional thing Al Pi Kabbalah.
V'chein Nohag Abba Mari. Zichron Lebracha. The Rebbe says his father, the Kedushas Yom Tov, did not say the word L'Arteinu.
Really? His father himself, that Nusach Sfar. Why would he omit that?
Because it wasn't exactly Nusach Sfar. That's the answer. Hungarians, their Nusach is not perfect Sfar. There's some cities in Hungary that daven Ashkenaz. Even in Satmar itself, the main shul daven Ashkenaz.
Oh, really? Well, because most Hasidim nowadays daven Nusach Sfar.
Right. Well, that's because today, all Hungarians basically, when they came to America, they became Hasidized. They became into the Hasidic community, so they adopted Nusach Sfard. But in Europe, Hungarians didn't daven Sfard. And even today, there's the Debrecen Rav, the shul Debrecen, they daven Nusach Ashkenaz, like Hungarian shuls used to.
See.
But Al Kapani, if you look in the Satmar Siddur, you'll see there's some things that are Nusach Ashkenaz and some things that are Sfard. A lot of words are in parentheses because people don't really say them.
Even by Sfard, I remember although Sfard during go Kabbalistically, I remember being in the oldest shul in Philadelphia, Mikveh Shul, found by Spanish Jews, and that Siddur too isn't exactly typical Sfard Siddur because in Spain it was less Kabbalah put into it.
Right.
On the side words which are pointing out which is what Al Pi Kabbalah.
Okay. Ava b'tchilas habracha uv'siyum habracha. So even if you're going to say L'Artzeinu, but in the beginning and the end of the bracha, which is the main thing, it doesn't say anything about L'Eretz Yisrael. Even though this gathering to the Midbar is not the final destination, it's only to purify us, to prepare us to go to Eretz Yisrael. That's what Yidden are waiting for with their, the eyes are tearing, they're waiting for this to happen. But since the first gathering, Lo Yiyel Eretz Yisrael, El Midbar, we'll go to a Midbar first. This bracha, because of its place in Shemona Esrei, is before the Shoftim. So it's, we're not talking about going to Eretz Yisrael yet.
Referring to the tachlis of the kibbutz.
No, but he's explaining why it doesn't really say L'Artzeinu. He's saying that before Shoftim and before Yerushalayim and before Mashiach, there's not going to be a real kibbutz. There's going to be
we mentioned the beginning, but the tach is all the things ahead of it.
Yeah. So the killing aminim and the destruction of the heretics. She'az lo yiyeh adayin hakibbutz Eretz Yisrael. So at that point, the kibbutz won't be Eretz Yisrael. L'chein ein maskirin mizem b'tchila u'b'soif. Shehu ikra bracha. Therefore, the beginning and end of the bracha don't mention anything about Eretz Yisrael.
What, the beginning and end of the bracha, the ikra parts?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because that's where you say bracha to Hashem.
The bracha to Hashem doesn't mention it, and the beginning to Kabbas Shofar Gadol, the Sundays to Kabbas Gulah doesn't mention it. The Gamlas Kiroi be'emtza, even those who do mention it in the middle, Shehu b'shvila tachlis lo L'Artzeinu, which is because the end result is that, but that's not going to be what the bracha is talking about. Even to say it then depends on what nusach daven. There are many opinions. We can't go on like this now, but the point is that it's not the main thing of the bracha. That this is a kal v'chomer, that you can't say, you can't even say that after the Gula we're going to go there to Yisrael, kal v'chomer that before we won't. Hashem doesn't want all the Yidden to be gathered there to Yisrael before the Gula. There are many other proofs to this. It's enough what I've written. We don't have to be marich more about it now. I want to just say one more thing about the Seder HaBrachot Shemona Esrei, because we're on the subject. The Rebbe answered here the kasha with this teretz that we're going to go to the Midbar Amim, but there's another way to answer it, and this is brought in Vayoel Moshe Siman Nun Zayin. Take a look ahead.
One moment. Nun Zayin right here.
Yeah. He's talking here about the Yerushalmi that says that there will be a Binyan Beis Hamikdash before Bias Mashiach. So he says, "Amna be'emes midivrei Yerushalmi be'atzmai efshel hashvois and beli machlokes. Ki af acher Bias ben David, even after Mashiach comes, loitis pashet malchusai. His malchus won't be so recognized and accepted until he first makes the Jews do tshuva. Ukvar hevesi midivrei Rambam she'asimin arishin imhu melech HaMashiach hu sheyachs yikol Yisrael adaso emes. He'll bring all the Yidden back and do tshuva. Im kein ein laham min boy klal terem sheyachs yikol Yisrael l'tshuva. We can't believe in Mashiach that he is Mashiach unless he does this first. Okay, he brings the Jews and makes them do tshuva. So he can't have any kingship, he can't have any power before that point. He won't have any kingship power before he does this thing of bringing the Yidden back. Because he brought a medrash that says, later on he brings a medrash that says that Moshe and Aaron will get up, there'll be a tchis and mesim for certain people. And even then, the Mashiach's malchus won't be accepted yet. So therefore, it comes out like this. It comes out, Mashiach is really here, and he's building the Beis Hamikdash, but he's not accepted as Mashiach yet. So therefore, saying that the Mashiach will be after Binyan Beis Hamikdash doesn't mean that Mashiach won't even be here. He'll be here, but he'll be doing it not as Mashiach.
Kibbutz Gula, which is the very, very last step. Only then we'll know for sure. It's around the last step.
Okay, but what I wanted to say with this, based on this, just let's read the rest first, and I will tell you what I wanted to say. That Moshe and Aaron will get up earlier, but there'll be a tchis mesim for everybody later. Okay, skip ahead over here to the next paragraph. That's the reason why the brachas are in the order they are. The bracha of bringing back the shoftim refers to this tchis and mesim of Moshe and Aaron. And after Yerushalayim, then David comes. So basically saying that it's not a steer. David will really be here before, but the complete Melucha of Mashiach won't be till later. So it comes out, you could answer the question that he's asking in Chaf Beis the same way. Because this Kibbutz Goliath could be talking about Mashiach doing Kibbutz Goliath, but he's not accepted as Mashiach yet. So that's the reason for the Seder Brachos in Shmon Esrei. That's all I wanted to say about that.
The Rambam says that how he writes, Mashiach B'vadei is the very, very last step. He'll be Mashiach B'vadei. So we don't even know he's Mashiach.
Right, but before he's still Mashiach, he's just not Mashiach B'vadei.
But we don't know for sure. We won't know.
We won't know.
The reality is there, but it's not going to be known to us.
Okay, and then one more thing. Take a look at the last page in the Maamar here, page 7.
And besides, to be a full Mashiach is anyhow silly because he had to be from Malchus Beis David. So there's no way.
How can you convince people that he's from Malchus Beis David? You're asking?
Well, only what I'm saying is, even a person the biggest tzaddik, bottom line, he can only be the Mashiach Malchus Beis David, which therefore limits, makes it even harder to fake being a false Messiah. It's only possible Malchus Beis David. Yeah.
This is the Square Rebbe who was nifter in 1968. Rabbi Yaakov Yosef Twersky
found the new square.
Found a new square, yeah. In 1956, he started a new square, but he was in Europe during the war. I think he survived the war in Romania. And this shtickle that we're about to read was said by him before Hakamas Medina. So it was said when he was still in Romania, and it says Kishadibru Oidos Shroitzim Lasos Medina. They spoke about that there's going to be, this plan to make a state. Pasach Admor Miskver Zatzal V'Amar. The Square Rebbe opened up and he said, Kisharav Balatanya Rotza Lahadvis Siduroi. The Balatanya, he has his own siddur that he printed.
Yeah, the Zachari, which is based on the Arizal's
right, which the Lubavitcher is used to this day.
Yes.
Holach Livnei Harav HaKadosh Repinchas Mikaretz. Baale Adfus Slavita. There was a famous printing press in Slavita that was run by the sons of Repinchas Karetzer, Chassid of the Baal Shem Tov. And it was his sons, or maybe I think it was his sons, because the Alter Lubavitcher Rebbe was at that time. So Sheyad Fisu Sidurai, and he asked that they should print his siddur. Vehem lo yiratzu Fisu, they didn't want to. Mimnei Sharav Schusi Yagen Aleinu Shina B'Birkas Yerushalayim. The Alter Rebbe changed the bracha of Yerushalayim. And he said like this: V'kisei David Abducha Meher L'Seicha Tachin. He put David's kisei first, and then he said Uvenei Oisa B'Karav B'Yamein Binyan Olam, build Yerushalayim, and then Baruch Hashem B'Yni Yerushalayim. Why? Why did he make that change? Because he wanted the end of the bracha to match the beginning, to match the last words before the end. Before you say Baruch Hashem, you have to say some words that have to do with what it says after Baruch Hashem. That's what he means. So the last words before Baruch Hashem had to be Uvenei Oisa. Mashiach and Binyan is the last words. V'chisei David Abducha Meir L'Seicha Tachin Baruch Hashem B'Yni Yerushalayim. That he didn't like. So they didn't want to print it. B'shvil Zashin, he said, you're changing the siddur. How are you allowed to do that? And what about his kasha? It has to be the same. So Amru, the Pinchas Karetzer's sons answered, Shemakuba me'aviyim. They have a Kabbalah from their father, Harav HaKadosh Pinchas Mikaretz, Chusi Yagen Aleinu, as on Malchus Beis David is Nishdaka and Binyan Yerushalayim. That without David HaMelech, there can't be a Binyan Yerushalayim. So automatically, when you say Binyan Yerushalayim, you mean Bias Ben David, because you can't have a Binyan Yerushalayim without Bias Ben David. That is similar to the end of the bracha. V'siyim Admor Miskver Zatzal Vas Villainzeh on Malchus Beis David and Nishdaka and Binyan Yerushalayim. So he said, on the Zionists, what are they doing? They're trying to build Yerushalayim without Malchus Beis David. They can't do that. Okay? So here we see an interesting story. Now it happened in the end, the Lubavitcher Alter Rebbe did print the siddur. I guess they didn't print it for him, somebody else did. But he did print it. So he obviously held that it does have to be changed. Interesting, the Bach and Orach Chaim, Kuf Yud Zayin, I think, or Kuf Yud Ches, I think it's Kuf Yud Ches. The Bach asked this kasha.
What kasha?
The kasha that the Alter Rebbe asked.
Yeah.
The Baal Tanya. He asked that what, and I don't know, I remember what the Bach answers. He answers different Terutzim. But he has the kasha too. How could the end be the same as the beginning? And this is the Pinchas Karetzer's answer, and it is the same, because Malchus Beis David and and Binyan Yerushalayim go together. So this is another proof to what we're saying, that when we say in Shemon Esrei B'Yni Yerushalayim, we're talking about with Mashiach. We're not talking about before Mashiach. Okay? Ad kan.